Scientists, government officials, and climate change activists are sounding the alarm as we near the point of no return. South Africa, already being impacted by climate change. It's the tip of the iceberg, as the continent's glaciers will soon disappear. But will the world take a stand and make a change to save the lives of Africans in this do or die situation? That's what Jean-Paul Adam from the Climate Change and Natural Resources Division of the United Nations Commission for Africa, that's what he had to say.
The cost of inaction is to accept a decade of decline, insecurity, poverty, and continued vulnerability. This is not an outcome we are willing to accept.
Here to provide insight into the climate crisis in Africa is Simon Ateba. He's the chief White House correspondent for Today News Africa here in D.C. Thank you for joining us, Simon. President Biden is embarking today. President Biden is embarking today on a trip that's going to end in a climate conversation with world leaders. The United States will have to make commitments, including financial commitments, to help repair for the harm of climate. Is there enough money, even possible, to help Africa come out of the climate crisis?
Yes, so President Biden has been focused on the climate finance. How do we get money? How do we support Africa? And to really understand where it's coming from, you need to understand where we are right now. There was a report yesterday by the World Bank that said that up to 86 million people in Africa may be forced to migrate due to the effect of climate change. And that will be by 2050. And by 2030, we begin to see the effect of climate change, climate migration. And 2030 is just in 9 years. So it is 2021, 2030 is just in 9 years. And the report also said that by that 2030, we have up to 32 million people in West Africa. And West Africa is where you have Nigeria, Senegal, Cameroon, and other countries, including Ghana. And so the situation is really severe. People are being impacted in Africa. But a new report also said that around 2023, the donors may be able to raise up to $100 billion to help middle and low income countries. And that's what the president has been focused on. The president, when he spoke to the United Nations General Assembly last month, made a big promise. He said the U.S. will quadruple its contribution to international climate finance. And so you need to also understand where we are coming from.
And Simon, so some of what the president is promising has to be delivered by Congress when it comes to being able to actually put money to the table. Is that something that world leaders are watching right now?
Yes. And even the promise that he made, the promise to quadruple the climate finance, the international climate fund, the contribution of the U.S., the president said he will have to work with Congress. He can't do it alone. And so even African leaders are watching it closely. Recently, when the president of Kenya came to the White House, the first African president to be received by President Biden, he also mentioned the fact that Africa contributes the least, but has to suffer the biggest consequences. And he urged the U.S. to, contribute more in other countries. So international leaders, African leaders, and even ordinary African, they are watching closely what's happening in the U.S. and at the U.S. Congress.
You mentioned that Africa contributed the least, suffers the most, and by 2050, there will be massive migration due to climate change. President Biden's also about to meet with the Pope, who is already speaking about how Europe needs to do better and treat migrants from North Africa with dignity. How is this dynamic supposed to change, though, right? With Africa not creating the problems, but also the European and Western world not dealing with the problems they're creating.
Yeah, so things will likely get worse, right? The climate crisis will cause millions of people in Africa to migrate within Africa and internationally. At the same time, migrants are being maltreated in Europe, in various countries. Even at the US borders, we have a lot of people from Cameroon and different countries who get there and then they're not being treated fairly. And so it's going to get worse unless governments take action.
What kind of action do governments need to take when it comes to helping the people of Africa? We talked about the finance and the fact that that's going to really rely on the politics of the moment. So what else is there?
Yeah, so let me give you an example of what is happening around Lake Chad. Lake Chad is between Chad, Cameroon, and Nigeria. And for the past few years, millions of people have been migrating away from the Lake Chad because the lake is drying up because of climate change. The climate is warming, the planet is in crisis. And because they are migrating away from the water, they don't have food to eat. They don't have, it's creating a big problem. One of the ways to do that is to support those people with money and then the green economy. You need to be able to, directly help those people with the money they need, but also help them to be able to maintain their livelihood. And so how to farm, how to be able to generate even basic things as water. And so those are some of the action that the governments around the world will be able to take to help Africans.
Simon Ateba coming to the table with a concrete solution. Thank you so much, Chief White House Correspondent for Today News Africa. Appreciate you joining us tonight.